So there are some laws, physical laws. We have to understand what is Laplace law. Laplace law is nothing but collapsing pressure is equal to 2 times the surface tension divided by the radius. A bigger alveoli has got more radius. So collapsing pressure, if you take for example radius is 2, radius is 1, this 2 example, this has got a collapsing pressure of 3 because the radius is 2 and the collapsing pressure is 6, the radius is 1. That means a smaller alveoli has got a more collapsing pressure compared to a larger alveoli because collapsing pressure is inversely proportional to radius. A smaller alveoli will have a more collapsing pressure and compared to a larger alveoli. So if you take an example, all the smaller alveoli will collapse and open into the larger alveoli. CPAP helps to recruit the smaller alveoli, keep it open. That is the way CPAP helps. CPAP helps to recruit more alveoli means it recruits a smaller alveoli, keeps them in the air exchanges process, thereby avoiding the collapsing pressure. It increases the functional respiratory capacity to a level above the closing value. That is an important thing. The terminal alveoli are kept open throughout respiratory cycle in a CPAP compared to a without CPAP. The smaller alveoli have got a more tendency to empty because of this ratio. According to the Laplace law, CPAP helps to overcome this collapsing pressure. The second important Poisson law, the resistance is equal to A times viscosity in the length of the tube divided by pi r4. Again, the resistance is inversely proportional to the radius. CPAP helping to increase the pharyngeal airway, thereby reduce the resistance. It is simple to understand. CPAP helps to reduce the resistance by increasing the radius of the tube. So as the length of the tube also increases, resistance also increases. So this is basics of physics which is applicable in CPAP. One more law, the flow across a tube is basically depending upon the pressure difference and resistance. The pressure difference is generated by the CPAP, helps to increase the flow. So again, the flow is also inversely proportional to resistance. We know that resistance decreases, flow increases. So CPAP again increases the pressure difference, thereby increases the flow across the tube. So we have to understand the Laplace law, Poisson law and this flow principle. And one more principle in physics which is applicable to CPAP is the pressure is equal to elastance into volume plus flow into resistance. So these are 4 principles we have to understand in a system of CPAP. We have to understand the system that is less compliant with the high elastance, will build up a greater pressure because pressure is directly proportional to elastance. So pressure with less compliant with higher resistance and higher elastance will generate more pressure for a given volume of gas injected. And if flow through a system is increased, pressure will also increase. The flow is increased, pressure also increase. So the pressure is directly proportional to elastance and resistance and flow. So common conditions what newborn baby can have is number 1, a respiratory distress syndrome, a pulmonary hypertension, TTNB and alveolar edema. So you have to understand what is happening to the ventilation perfusion scenarios in the following conditions. For example, take a normal lung. Blood from the heart goes to the lungs, reaches the alveoli and becomes oxygenated when passing by the ventilated, well ventilated and open alveoli, and the blood again goes from the lungs to the heart, fully oxygenated. In the case of respiratory distress syndrome, what happens? Blood passes by and the underinflated lung alveoli, the alveoli is partially opened. Ultimately, the blood is not getting oxygenated. There is decreased oxygenation because of the underfilling of the lung. Now, what happens in pulmonary hypertension? There is a